Here you go. All right, boof. Now this is the angle that you guys like, or you want the other angle? This is the one that you were on, we were on this afternoon. I can put this guy back on. See if you like this one better. You tell me which one you like better, okay, guys? Come on. What a delay. You like that angle? Or you like the other one first, the first one better? Hola. Marcio. Do we like that angle better, or you want the other one? I'll put the other one on. Okay, the first one. I was telling Bob this afternoon I'm going to try to get a camera for the foot. I will use the first one. Marcio, you just got here and you're saying good night, okay? Why are you saying, oh, you mean have a good night? It's a good night. Okay. I'm sorry. There you go. Is that better, guys? All right. This is so not difficult, but you know, it's hard when you're doing something by yourself. I'm an AV guy, I'm an author, I'm an instructor, and it just gets me crazy. One thing goes wrong and nothing goes right. All right, so now, here's what we're going to do. Like I said, I'm going to try to get that foot camera going on. I'm always trying to improve my sight. Here's what we're going to do. The first lesson in the stick control formulas is a triplet. It's designed for a hand exercise at first. And when I say formula, I take the sticking, like R becomes something, and L becomes something. So in this case, R is going to become 3 rights, 1 and da. Okay. Left is going to become 3 lefts. So if I took that formula and took it to the first line, the sticking pattern, it'd be right, left, right, left. So I have right, left, right, left. So I'm counting it now on one surface. Who's this? Troy, how you doing? Okay, so now, what I'm going to do, I'm using that formula. I'm going to go to line 3. The sticking is right, right, left, left. So with the formula, it's going to become now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we understand that? Now we do the whole page like that and add variety of tempos, like 1, 2. That was line 5, by the way. I'll slow that one down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we understand it? Yes? No? Binga-da-banga. No accents at all. Not for this one. This is a straight up exercise. The rights are one sound. And the left is the same sound as the right. If I go to line 13, you have 4 rights and then 4 lefts. So you have this. 1, 2, 3, So I keep my bass drum 1, 2, 3, 4, no accents. I will, Robert, in a second. And I play my left foot, heel and toe. My bass drum is traveling 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's my bottom, okay? Then on the count of 2 and 4, I use my heel and toe. That method is heel on 1, toe on 2, heel on 3, toe on 4. So now I have 1, 2, I'm sorry, I did it with my bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what you want to do, you can work on a drum pad or the snare drum. It doesn't make any sense to work on a drum pad if you have a snare drum, because you play on a drum set. The drum pad is a great tool that, we want to work something out or exercise. It's like, lifting weights, or jogging or whatever. That's an exercise tool. So when we do perform, if we're doing sports, we're becoming stronger if we lift weights. If we do some jogging, we become stronger with a stamina to run. So we're in shape. Now, request for doing line 3 again. The sticking on line 3, the way it's presented in stick control book, is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Simple. Now I made right become an eighth note triplet, 3 rights. So I have the 2 rights. I'd have 1 and 2 and then the left, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Now I didn't use the bass drum, nor did I use the hi-hat, just to explain what's occurring with the hands. But notice the heights of my sticks, they're all the same. I'm trying to go for my right hand and my left hand to be equalized in sound. Okay, let's from line 1 to line 3 to line 5. It's a paradiddle. Remember, we're using the formula. R equals 3 rights. L equals 3 lefts. So I'm going to do the first section, right, left, right, right. So I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Then I go to the second section of line 1 of the first measure, and I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Now, do you understand line 3, Bob? And I just want to do line 5. So, you want to do these very slow and in this different sticking heights. For example, if I went back to line 1, and I said I'm going to make them all full strokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or you want to go half strokes, you can pick up the speed because the distance is not as great. Now the full stroke should be played a little slower because there's a greater distance as opposed to here. I don't have to travel so much. That's a half stroke. So now if I did line 1 in the half stroke, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I could take it here. Because my distance from the tip of my stick to the drum is not great. So I could do it in full strokes, I could do it in half strokes, and the next one would be quarter strokes. That's where you get your speed. Do we follow that, guys? We understand it? Okay, that's the first section of the stick control book formula. I didn't write out 72 lines, that's for sure. I did write out 4 pages of the exercises, and that should be enough for you to continue on your own. Like I said a couple times this afternoon and before, a couple lessons back, I said you're going to be presented with the exercise or the formula. However, you will have supplementary PDFs sent to you as additional or expanding on the exercise itself. Any questions, email me, and I'll send you some different PDFs. Now, that's the first section. I'm not doing 72 lines, and I'm not going to do the four pages unless you'd like me to. The 4 pages, we're going to, I think, about 18, number 18. But they're all self-explanatory. Now, if you maintain the formula, R is 3 rights, L is 3 lefts. If you have 4, for example, I went to 13 before, and the sticking on line 13 in the stick control book is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And with the formula, R is 3 rights and L is 3 lefts, I'd have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there's a couple rules you want to follow. I mean, you know, I don't want to be no Gestapo kind of guy or restricting you in anything, but your aim is to get you want to perfect your technique and your execution. So by doing that, you know, you want to maintain the same sticking heights, the right side and the left side. You want to be able to develop the right side and the left side sound equalized. You're not looking for speed. You're looking for a relaxed way to execute this in the correct way. You're trying to equalize the sound. Now, I'm not going to do, like I said, I'm not going to do up to 18, 19. I can if you'd like. I'm not, you know, that's up to you. That's optional. But I want to take it to the second phrase. Now, this is also in the stick control book formulas. All right, stick control formulas. I don't know if it's number 2 or 4 or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It's related to the exercise we just did. We did that as a one-surface exercise to develop our hands and our endurance. If you did that for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, man, your hands would be loose and smoking. But you have to maintain the rules. Now, the second phrase of that particular formula is a substitution. Now, when I say substitution, instead of using the right hand on the snare drum, we're going to use the bass drum. So now the R doesn't stay 1 and 2 and we're going to use the bass drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? Look at the left foot. Can you hear it? Okay, do the whole. You did the hand exercise one surface. Do the different voices, the substitution as many times as you like. That's the second step. Line 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right. We understand it. You got it, Robert? Good. Troy, you have it? Oh. Jeez. Right in the face. My God. Ouch. Okay. My sticks are beating me up. Okay. Now, that's 2 different ways to do that formula. We just did a substitution. Yeah, it's easy. You're going to go easy. See, I just got it in the face. Ouch. All right, let's go to the third guy. So, you know, we do three different ways. Now, if you have questions, I mean, I could keep going on this particular exercise for the next 10 lessons and not repeat myself. But why overwhelm you? You know, let's take it easy. You have the one surface exercise, okay, and you have the bass drum and snare drum exercise. I just want to do one more with that. So we're going to add to that. We're going to maintain the same formula. The bass drum now is going to equal 3 rights. The snare drum is going to equal 3 lefts. I mean, the left is going to equal 3 lefts. Right is 3 rights. Left is 3 lefts. Okay? Now, you want to get that going on with the hi-hat 2 and a 4. But we're going to add the jazz pattern to that exercise. Now, this is not, it's a variation, or not a permutation, but the probability. You can do it this way. There's so many different ways. So I'm going to keep line 1 going against this. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to add the jazz time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. Now you see what I'm doing there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now do that for 5 minutes, and you watch how nice and relaxed you become after that. Now, one exercise, the line that you really want to work on, like, the basic concept of the stick control book is to equalize the right hand and the left hand, or the right foot and the left foot. I'm not talking about left hand rather. I'm not talking about sound-wise. What I'm talking about is endurance-wise. So if I did this particular exercise, number 13, remember, there's 4 right, and then 4 lefts. Left, 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 against the jazz time. 1. Now that is easy, but man, it's for endurance. And you're controlling that bass drum. You're controlling the left hand and the right hand and the hi-hat. That's easy, but it takes a lot of work. Now, it was really very important, and a lot of guys have difficulty with this. And if you notice when I'm playing that right hand, it's of the same sound, constant. All right, there's a level system that is being used there. I have a free stroke, a downstroke, and an upstroke. So I maintain the 4 quarter notes equalized in sound. You know, this is straight ahead. This is not open. This is not improv or out of the box. It's just 1. Now you can see that ride cymbal, correct? You see that as a free stroke. I'm starting here. If I was to play 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're all coming down at the same point, the same height. So I maintain the sound. Now that's considered, in this particular situation, a full stroke. Okay? So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now inside the jazz pattern, I have, with the right hand, 2 different sounds. The da of the triplet's a little lighter. So I have free stroke, down, up, free stroke, down. So I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Got it? All sounding the same. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The 1. Ba-da, ba-dee-bop. Now I'm over exaggerating the voices because I want you to hear them. But now, if I did line 1, you could do it slow. Robert, you still think it's easy? Line 5. Takes a lot of work. The object is to lay this down. It's a straight ahead time. Ding, chong, ding, chong, ding, chang. We're going to start to get into modulation with that eventually. That's where you're going to be getting the PDFs. These are basic. The concept is, yeah, it is. But to make all the limbs work together and sound nice takes a lot of hard work. Of course, the concept. I make it sound easy. I project it, or I'm teaching it in an easy way that you could understand. When I teach, I try to remember me. How can I forget me? But when I say remember me, what I mean, okay, is how I went through and struggled through these things and how I had to work on them. I had the right foot and the left hand working, but the right hand wouldn't work. So I focused on the right hand, and then the left hand didn't work. So the object is, and it's actually harder, but makes you stronger, is to slow it way down, because you have to think about everything that you do when you're doing it. Right now, it's just second nature to me. I mean, I've been doing it for 100 years. Yeah, and it's hard work. Is anybody here familiar with Jim Chapin's Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer? I think it was published in 1948. It's an iconic book in the drum community. Do we all know that book? When I first got the book, I said, oh, good Lord, this is going to be difficult. And it was, because I was approaching it not the way I should approach it. And I tried to first off play it quick. I wanted to be a cooking jazz musician. Not until I slowed it down and thought about exactly what was occurring did it start to develop. Example, now I went through the whole book. It was a difficult book in the back of the book, but in my opinion, okay, it didn't swing. What really made that book was the graphics. Now, when I say graphics, at that particular time, 1948, they didn't have computer programs that wrote musical notation. They had to be typesetted with a printer, and you had it, you visualized the line because he went through all of that. But the way it was presented, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with the book. It's a good book to try to, it's a challenging book. But in my opinion, it's too stiff. Nothing against Jim Chapin. He was adored in the drum community, and he contributed a lot. Okay, but I don't use the book no more. I use the pattern series, The Time Functions by Gary Chaffee, and I create or put together the Stick Control book and the Chaffee book. But where the real thing that swings is Ted Reed's Syncopation book. Hey, Lance, how you doing? Little late, but that's okay. I'll stay on it for a while. It's, the book is stiff, all right? Now, the only way this is going to happen, and it sounds stiff because I'm keeping it stiff with that straight ahead jazz pattern. When I play a gig, if it's an open gig, it's like, you're going to improvise, you're going to play jazz or whatever. There's a lot more involved with that. You have to learn the structure of the tunes. You have to improvise with the other musicians. and you still have to lay it down somewhat, okay? You could go take it out of the box and still have it laid down. Does everybody know what I mean by out of the box? And there's also a straight ahead time and an open time. Do we all know those terms? If not, I'll explain them somewhat. Straight ahead time is what we've been working with. Okay? Ba-ding, chong, ding, chong, ding. Straight ahead. That sounds stiff, but if you're backing a vocalist, that's what they're looking for. That's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear you fill in or the blanks there in between the notes and in the time. You know, you might get fired. All right, you don't. All right, let me explain. We're doing a straight ahead time. I'm backing a singer, and I'm going through the sections. I'm playing with a big band, and they're dependent on me to keep the time. That way. That's giving them the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now it's not open, it's straight ahead. So you hear this. Ching, chong, ka-ching, chong, ka-ching. It's a little monotonous, but they depend on it. You don't forget, you have 4 trumpet players, 4 sax players, trombone players, the bass player, the piano player, and the singer. I can't be going, ding, da, ding, da, ding, da, ding. They go crazy. They'll fire my ass. So you're laying it down straight. Now, if I'm playing with a trio or a quartet or a quintet, whatever, you know, other than a big band, you know, and there's the rules. You play the head twice, and once you complete the head, then the improv starts. Now, as far as the improv is concerned, I could play what I hear, what I feel, but I don't lose my time. That 1 is always there. I'm sure that you gentlemen have heard, as long as you know where the 1 is at. Well, you know, I agree with that, but if you know where the 1's at, you do know where the 2, 3, 4's at. Okay? So as long as you know where that placement of it is, and you know where you are in the tune, and you're having a conversation with the other musicians, okay, and you're improvising with them, as long as you stay within the structure, you're safe. You're fine. Now, out of the box, and you'll hear this. I don't, you know, we're going to have Alan Herman come here. That's the March the 1st, if he ever can get out of China. From what I understand, if you're coming back from China now, I think there's a law or there's something, when you land at the airport, you're going to have to stay in quarantine for 2 weeks at some military facility. Then they'll release you if you're okay. So I don't know what's going on. He'll be back this week. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, it'd be kind of boring if everybody's smoking and everybody has something to say musically inside of the structure, and I'm playing a straight ahead time. That's not happening. I'm going to play with the other musicians, but I maintain the structure. That's what jazz is all about. Do we understand that definition or that explanation? If not, I could elaborate on it. Not a problem. So it would be very nice, Larry, Tony, or Troy rather, Horst, Dennis, Marcio, do we all understand it? And Robert, do you understand it? Oh, I can't agree with that, Joe. Joe's just made a statement. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Okay. Let's talk about that. What is work? What I'm doing. Do you think I just picked up the sticks and did all of that? It took hard work to get to that point. Yeah, I love what I do, so I don't feel like it's a 9-to-5 job. I don't punch a clock. You know, if I want to do a lesson, I do a lesson. If I want to practice for 3 hours, I practice. There's no set time. Okay, and that's, you know, it's, I know what you mean, Joe. Okay, so, you know, it's like the improv. It's a totally different, we haven't gotten there yet. So I'm just trying to make you understand. What I'm showing you is technique, execution, and how to develop the sound. Now, there's a lot to that, learning tunes. Let me ask you a question. This is going to go to Robert. Well, it's going to go to everybody, okay? When was the last time you listened to a jazz tune? And I'm talking Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea. We're not talking jazz fusion. We're talking about straight ahead, almost bebop jazz. When was the last time you guys listened to it? Out of the box. You don't know what that means? Okay. All right. Let me go back to Alan Herman. Alan Herman has a friend who has a recording studio. And a lot of famous people went to the recording studio. It's in New Jersey, I think Greenwood Lake. And how you doing, Ken? Robert is not teaching. Robert's he's asking a question, and I'm going to answer that. Now, I hooked up with Alan, and I said I'm going to film the recording, his session, and record the studio. Or, take film in and introduce the studio, and I did. Now, out of the box, and there was a couple other guys from Facebook that we know, like Tim Herman and Mike Clark, and they were there. And the session lasted, good 8-9 hours. Anyway, out of the box, that's what the title of his CD was. He will be giving a few of them away come March the 1st to the lucky winners who I take their number out of the hat. All right. Out of the box means, abstraction. There is no time. There is no structure. Let me see if I could, see the thing is, if you listen to his out-of-the-box CD and you listen to it through a regular stereo system or through your computer, it's not that effective. If you put the headphones on, lay back, turn the volume up, close your eyes, and you think you're in outer space. Okay? Sounds come from all over the place. It's hard to do that, all right? Because, for example, I'm just going to try it. You might not like it because it's being performed as opposed to just listening. Now, that, I don't know what I was doing. I just did it. Okay, but that's out of the box. There's no time. But he's done it so effectively that, man, it's just so beautiful. That's out of the box. Like you've heard that term, I'm going to go out of the box. We'll go out of the box. That's what the box is this. Time. Now, you can't play out of the box, maybe with a group. It's just you demonstrating some sounds. And if you do it correctly, which there is no correct way, but if you do it nicely, but it's really effective. That's out of the box. Now, in open time, we did the straight ahead time, and they open out of the box, okay? It's not a good demonstration, but you get the idea. I didn't lay down no time. I just played randomly sounds. Whatever. That's out of the box. What's that message retrieve? Ken, what are you doing? All right. Now, let's talk about an open time. Whether, when you're playing a straight ahead time or an open time, time exists. Because for it to be open, it has to exist. For you to play straight ahead, naturally it has to exist. But now, if I'm playing, if the tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4, straight ahead, you're thinking. And this is where modulation comes into effect. Ding, ding. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That comes into part of, it really does, huh? I guess I did a good explanation. That is an open time. You know, I'm not playing bop, 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 bop. That's a straight ahead time, okay? But there's there's so much, and there's better explanations than what I've done. But that, sums it up, sort of, gives you an idea. Do some research on it. Go to Wikipedia. Go to the Google. They have it. Open time for drummers. Open out of the box for drummers. They'll give you a really good definition. Don't forget, you have some extraordinary writers who can communicate through their writing skills. My writing skills suck. Plain and simple. I try to explain things the best that I can, and I hope it just goes over okay. But anyway, I have no idea what's going on. What was going on with my site? You said there was 2 different voices going on. I don't know. Help me out, guys. Now, for those who did not purchase the hardcover, purchase it. It's available. What's that? Gina 9. What's that? I don't know what that is. What is that, Dennis? Gina 9. Anyway, Dennis and Robert and Jim and Michael Lewis and Tim Shahady all purchased the book, the hardcover. The hardcover is only available in the U.S. Unless, if you're in Europe and you want to buy the hardcover, the postage is ridiculous. Yeah, you can call it whatever you want, Joe. I just do it. To get to where you want to go is hard work, but you enjoy it. So if you enjoy hard work, it's not really hard work, it's a love. So I guess that's cool. So anyway, if you guys want to that live out of the U.S. and buy the hardcover, let me tell you, the book is $45. Now you want to pick up the postage because I'm not going to pick that up. It's $22.50 any place in Europe. That's a lot of money. If you want to go that way, fine. If not, I am promoting the PDFs for $25, and they will be sent to you. You print them out, put them in protector sheets, get a binder, and you have a book. Yeah, it does. Like, let me tell you something. When I was a kid, I had a paper route. I worked at a grocery store. And I didn't care about nothing other than making a few dollars so I could have some money. I come from send me $1, I'll show it to you. I'm only kidding, Andrew. What I've done, let me say, I even got, listen to this, you guys. You want to laugh. I've been promoting the book on Facebook. And I put it in all the Art of Drumming groups. Okay, so I promoted it in the Syncopation book. Hey, available now, the hard copy, $45, the PDF's $25, bad, the whole 9 yards. Do you realize one of the members told me that I'm not allowed to post that because it's inappropriate. We're supposed to be talking about syncopation. Oh, well. I said, is this a joke? And he said, you can get it free. And I'm saying, what can he get free? You want to bootleg the stick control book? That's cool, but it's against the law. What I did is I put a picture of the stick control book and this guy next to each other. Now, what I did, all right, was with the utmost love and respect to George Lawrence Stone. I thought the guy was brilliant. So I expanded on his presentation of the stick control book, how he did two rights, two lefts, the paradiddle, the inversions of the paradiddle. And what I've done was make formulas. Now, you're getting the wrong side there. Or, let's see. Now, this was a lot of work. I only have 10 copies. We're going to have to get another 20 copies by the way it looks. I sold 6 of these today and 10 PDF files. Okay? Now, this book, like I said, in the U.S., I pick up the shipping, but it's $45. You put it into my PayPal account, send it to me as a gift. If I don't get it as a gift, I will return your money. I don't want to have PayPal make any money on me. They made enough already. Now, the same thing with the PDFs. If you're in overseas, if you're out of the U.S., you want to buy the PDFs, it's 180 sheets. It costs $25. I'll send them to you. You print them out, and like I said before, get protector sheets. What is so slow about this? Why is it not doing what I want it to do? You get protector sheets and put them in a binder, and you have yourself a book for just about half the price. What is this? The jazz? No. The jazz tune that I hum, Dennis, I usually hum milestones. Bump, 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 be-do-be. Yeah, that's 8 measures. Absolutely, and you should listen to them instead of watching them. Let me explain something, that the difference between watching and listening. And let's use a person who I idolized, Elvin Jones. Now you want to talk about playing out of the box in time. He puts a whole different definition on time. The guy was absolutely genius. Okay? Now, I caught him years ago before, obviously before he passed on, at a club in New York City, okay, called The Bottom Line. What is that? Thank you, Andrew. I just go to PayPal, I put my email in there, get on my mailing list, and as soon as a PayPal notifies me of payment, I will send it to you. I'm actually waiting for, when I get 3 or 4 of them, to send the PDFs as opposed to one at a time. So if you send it, it might be not a day, but a while. Okay? The books were a lot of work. Trust me. For the last 2.5, 3 years, I've been sending PDFs out every morning. Okay, so I listened to Elvin Jones, and I thought the guy was marvelous. And I was a kid when I heard him. Okay, I would listen to him and listen to him and listen to him, because I really respected his concept. I tried to figure it out. He would play things, when you talk out of the box, okay? His musicians couldn't actually sometimes, when he took a solo, they couldn't hum the tune through his solo because he was so abstract. And then the guy was brilliant. He was a genius. And I go see him at the Bottom Line, and he was a big man. He's almost 7 foot. And he had paws on him, man. I shook his hand, my hand disappeared. That's how big he was. All right, so now he's going to come up and do his first set, and I watched him. Didn't listen. I watched him. And I said, man, this guy don't even know how to hold the drumsticks. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Yeah, I lost a little respect for that. But then I turned around and asked the bartender for a beer. I was drinking Heineken. and I listened instead of watched. And I said, there it is. So, you listen and you watch are two different elements. You put a CD in your stereo or whatever, your computer, and you're listening. You say, whoa. Then you see and you say, huh? So there's two different worlds. Listen. Don't worry about watching. Because, some of those guys come, you have to understand the background from where they come from. Guys who come from Far Hills, New Jersey, or Hollywood, California, and they want to take drum lessons, well, they're prim and proper, and the mom and dad have the money for that. But you take a guy like Elvin Jones, he wasn't born into wealth, but he loved the music. And I guess he would start in a church. I'm not sure. I didn't really read his biography. But he was kind of self-taught and developed his own concept. Now, I'm sure that if he understood what I was doing with triplets, he would do it. But he didn't practice it, okay? He played the music, and which you all should do. Because, learning all this technique and you can't associate it to music, it's worthless. It's not worthless, but it just doesn't make any sense. You're developing coordination, you're developing hands, you're developing endurance. You have to develop musicality also. That's another ingredient. I'm sure that you guys agree, but Elvin Jones is one of my favorite. And I'm not saying, there's things on Facebook, who's the greatest drummer ever? That's all bullshit. There's no such thing as the greatest drummer ever. Each drummer that I mentioned, Max Roach, Art Blakely, Shelly Manne, Louie Bellson, Buddy Rich, Joe Morello, all those guys were all top-notch drummers for what they were trying to project. But yet they were all different. So how do you determine who was the best? That's absurd. One day I'm going to write out a drum solo. And reading, to me, is extremely essential, unless you want to be one kind of drummer like Elvin Jones. Absolutely. Impressions, for example. John Coltrane's on that with Elvin Jones. Now, I really wish I could have hung out with Elvin Jones, but he was scary looking. I was a kid. I couldn't talk to him about paradiddles. He'd look at me, boy, what's that? And he'd be looking down at me. And he was extremely black. But that's okay. That was his entity. And he had the whitest eyeballs and the whitest teeth. And you look up at him. Huh? So, whoa. So you kind of cautionally said, uh-oh. Elvin Jones. Now, Impressions is a very simple tune and a lot of improv in there. And we're going to get to that. We're going to take, like I said a couple of lessons ago, say a two-measure figure from syncopation. And we're going to take it from its root. We're going to understand the math. We're going to understand the count. And we take it to the other platform, humming it. And we're going to make it the bass part or the part of the melody. Now, you're going to see the difference between a fill-in, okay, or a fill, or a lead-in rather, a lead-in rather than a fill. Okay? All right, guys, it's late. Do we all have any questions? Did you ever meet him, Andrew? Did you ever meet John Coltrane? Elvin Jones, rather. I'll tell you, when I was in the service, you guys, I don't know if you know who Carter Jefferson is. And I forgot the other guy. There's so many. Charles Tolliver. They were in the same unit as I was. So I was hanging out with those guys. Okay? And the one guy that all those great hornmen and bass players and piano players went through or to was the great jazz messengers, Art Blakely. Art Blakely had the concept down. You were either right or wrong with the structure. If you were wrong, you would feel like an idiot. And just, oh shit, I got to go home and practice or learn the tune. But everybody went to Art Blakely. Shelly Manne the same way. Baby Tough. You know, all these guys, you know, all the greats. When I say greats, they all had their own voice, and the concept was always the same, but their interpretation of the concept was totally different. If that makes sense. Okay, guys, I'm going to lock it up. I will be back tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Now, I'm going to have to get 10 more copies somewhere. He was a big dude. He had a big set. I mean, a big set. He made it look small. Beautiful guy, though, man. Very good spirit, peaceful guy. I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to mess with him. Huh. He'd pick you up with one hand and say, "What do you say, boy?" Huh. Anyway, love the guy. And who takes, I don't know if it's a compliment or I don't know, but hanging out with, I was hanging out in the studio here a few times and out in a couple clubs with the great Mike Clark, okay, and Lenny White. And that's some heavy duty company. And you should got to hear these guys talk about the music. You have to take a music dictionary around with you to understand them. Good for you, Joe. Talking about Buddy Rich, and I'm going to expose this. I might get in trouble, but that's okay. I just had gotten out of the Army. And yeah, I did idolize Buddy Rich at one point in my life. I mean, the guy was fantastic, man. He did what he did better than anybody else. And I'm not saying he was great, because that's you don't have to say that. I saw him live 2 sets. It actually was my hometown. You're welcome, Robert. It was in my hometown in Edison, New Jersey. And he played 2 sets. I was in awe. I mean, I went up and I sat in the audience and watched him. I said, wow. So there was an intermission. I guess he had to go talk to his hornman or, change his shirt because he was soaking wet. So I followed him. And I was very, not tense, but directed into, I want to talk to this guy. And I looked like a mean guy. So he see me approaching him, and he goes, "Hey, man, everything okay?" And then he realized that, yeah, I just was a fan and I wanted to talk to him. So he put his arm around me and said, "All right, come on with me." So I said, "All right, man, this is great." He's invited me to his dressing room that he's going to discuss with the horn sections, and he's changing his shirt or whatever, and I get to see him on a different kind of situation. Well, to make a long story short, he did what he had to do. Now, this is where I'm going to get in trouble. He, like most of the musicians, smoked a dupe. He says, "Here, boy, have some of this." So I said, okay. I took 2 or 3 hits of it. And he had left the room. He says, "Nice to have talked to you, nice to have met you, blah, blah, blah," all that good stuff. Now, from his room to where I was sitting, I couldn't find it because I was so out there with that shit that I smoked. And I say, here's this guy, gets up on stage, kicks the shit out of his band, and I can't even stand. Whoa. Man, the guy played his heart out. He played every song that night like it was his last time playing a song. That's the kind of performer he was. Yeah, he was arrogant. Yeah, he was tough, but that was his personality. It was his showmanship, and everybody, kind of said, okay, that's the way he is. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I will see everybody tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. on this channel. I hope I helped you and entertained you somewhat. Now, remember, you don't have the books. Get them. Joe, Andrew. Okay, guys? Have a good night now.